There are a lot of fitness professionals that are rooting for you to be successful on your weight loss journey while you're using the GLP-1. I know sometimes it may not seem that way because there is a loud group of people that really have strong opinions on other people, in this case, including you, uh, using these medications. Now, um, I say pretty much every episode here, as long as you and your doctor are like, hey, this is the thing that we want to do, and your doctor is like, yeah, this is great. Doctor's on board. You guys have decided that this is a great tool for you to use. Go, like, by all means. And there's a lot of other people that feel that way because you're starting to see the success in ways that you probably never have before. You've been trying to lose and manage weight for years, decades, probably much of your life, right? So now you have this tool that is showing you progress that maybe you haven't seen before, or you just feel different this time. Maybe you've probably lost some of, if not all of the weight before, and then it came back. You've lost it before, but this time you feel different about it, right? So I think if anyone is really working in the fitness industry because they want to help people, they would look at that and say, you know what, like, I'm happy that this person is getting the results that they're getting. Um, I think, and then I think in the online environment, there are some things that, like, as someone that is in your corner or as people that are rooting you on to be successful, I think there are some things that we see in the fitness space on things that we've seen over the years when people weren't using GLP-1s, um, that are easy traps to fall into. They always have been. And there are some that also seem, and again, I say seem because, we're still a lot, there's a lot of personal experience with all this stuff, and a lot of it makes it makes logical sense, and it's like, well, these are warning signs that we want to warn people about, but, like, it's not absolute concrete yet, and it may not be, right? Like, it may end up being isolated incidents because one thing, while there's a lot of similar paths for people that people go through on their weight loss journey, there's also a lot of nuanced stuff. We talk a lot about that too as well. But there's nothing wrong with you using a GLP-1. It is a tool. I think the slippery slope that a lot of us want to caution against is if you think the GLP-1, like, now you don't have to do the day-to-day actions, that you think that the medication is just going to take care of it. A lot, and I mean, there are people that look at it that way. And if you honestly are like, this is great, I don't have to do any of this stuff. Like, I don't want to do the habits. I don't really have to do the workouts like I used to. I don't have to worry about the eating plan like I used to because the weight is coming off. It's very easy to look at it and say, okay, I don't have to do this stuff anymore. And frankly, it's understandable if you've been, again, I said before, maybe you've been doing this stuff for years, if not decades. Maybe you just want a break. Maybe you just like the fact that you're losing the weight and you're not having to do all the stuff right now. And you know what? I honestly think in one-on-one conversation, I think people could at the very least understand that. If not, say, yeah, take the break. Like, what, you've been dieting on and off for 20 years? Take 6 months, take a year plus to do what you're doing. I totally understand that. The thing to watch is that it's a lot like when something that we always talk about in the fitness space is don't let the scale number be your motivation or your driver, because at the very beginning, when somebody is starting or restarting, if it's been a while, they may have substantial um, losses on the scale for weeks, maybe even, a month or maybe even a couple of months. And everybody loves to see the scale number go down. But what happens when it slows and stalls? You start to panic. One, and two, you start to not really want to do the things that brought you to the dance. Because what was motivating the actions that you were taking was that the scale was going down. Well, in this case, you can get the results on the scale, and you don't necessarily have to follow through with the habits and actions. That's tough, but those habits and actions are going to be what help you not only maintain the weight that you lose for the long term for life, but those are the things that we focus on to just have a better quality of life as we get older. And some of you have probably, I feel like, I know definitely for me and a lot of the folks that I've talked to, you know, your body starts to take a noticeable shift somewhere in your 30s. Don't bounce back as quick from overdoing it with workouts or taking too many days off or not, properly not eating your fruits and vegetables, not drinking your water, getting those things in consistently, not doing your warm-ups, not stretching. Like there is, you can only skip bits and pieces of this stuff, these actions and habits for so long before they catch up to you. And, if you're using the medications and you're not really working on developing those habits, if the scale number is what's driving your focus and that's what you're locked in on, well, when that stops and when that slows, you not only aren't seeing the scale continue to go down, but it's been a while. You've gotten out of rhythm with your habits and routines. Doesn't mean you can't get your actions, habits, and routines back. It just means you've gotten used to losing the weight without them. And that's going to be a mental shift. Is that a mental shift that you can make? Yes. But it's going to take some time. So, the GLP-1, it is a tool, but it is not the complete solution, even though a lot of people use it as the complete solution. And I think all of us, if we're honest with ourselves, if you've ever been on a diet, um, we love the idea of losing the weight and not having to do this stuff. I'll say it. We all feel that way. And anybody that tells you they wouldn't take you up, and again, like if anybody has struggled with their weight currently in the past or throughout their life, if you've been focused on that and then there's something that actually makes that number go down and you don't feel like you have to really do as much, I could totally see why you'd want to take advantage of it. In the long run, you might look at it and say, I should probably do things differently. But in the short term, right there with you guys. Like, I mean, and that I think is the thing. If we're being honest, I think a lot of stuff on social media especially, is people just rant and rave, one side or the other. Right? You're either for this or you're against it, and taking an absolute stand on something that is very much nuanced, and then just in this case, part of a toolbox for you, it's not helpful. So you do need to focus on the actions and habits. You're also and we have talked about this in previous episodes because it's so intertangled. But the relationships that you have with eating, exercise, and how those impact the relationship that you have with yourself, that is something that needs to be worked through. Now, I will say, and I say this often, having a productive working relationship with a therapist really helps with this because there's so much emotional and mental stuff that is tied to how we view food, how we view exercise, how that ties into how we view not even only what we see with ourselves, but how we view ourselves as a person in many cases. So like there's a lot of nuance there, right? And you just it's you want to and I think that the name of the game is to have a balanced exercise routine. And that doesn't mean that you have to do everything in the equal amount of times in a particular workout or even in a week necessarily. But you do have to have a balance of stuff. And that's your strength and or resistance training, whether you're moving weight or whether you're doing body weight stuff or whatever type of resistance that you're using. That's building um, that's building your endurance up. That's doing your cardio, and that's working on flexibility and mobility. Like you got to have a mix of all of those things because if you don't, your your body, you're probably familiar with imbalances, but at the but what those imbalances cause are just something that hampers your quality of life. And again, longevity and quality of life are a huge part of everything when it comes to your weight loss journey. Um, in one thing, and so when you lose it takes time for your mind to catch up. Your mind needs to catch up with your body. This has always been the case with weight loss. You'll hear a lot of times people will say that they see the same person in the mirror as before they lost the weight, even though they've lost X amount of pounds and sometimes really large numbers. So like to have a really fast rapid weight loss, your mind needs time to catch up. You need to give your mind permission to catch up. And again, that happens in any type of that can happen on any type of weight loss program, but especially one where weight is coming off rapidly. Um, and at some point, everybody has to untangle their confidence and belief in themselves from the number on the scale or how their body looks. It's a big topic, right? And it's tough because you've probably heard for much of your life that there have been conversations about your appearance and your weight. Some of them are really weird, right? Like, oh, you'd be so handsome if you lost weight. You'd be so pretty if you lost weight. Oh, like you have so much going for you. You have such a pretty face. Like people make comments and assessments all the time, and it's not fair. It's not helpful, and frankly, it is damaging. Because then what you're taught is that much of your worth is based off of your appearance. Now, I'm not going to tell you that the world doesn't operate where the vast majority of people are wrapped up in their appearance and the appearance of other people. I'm not like that. That is straight up how much of the world works. But what I will tell you is a lot of those people that are wrapped up in appearance are crumbling inside. They are pitting themselves against the appearance of others, and they don't have confidence. Confidence is actually something that you choose to believe that you are competent and capable of doing the things, or at the very least, figuring out and navigating the situation that you're in. It's all about how you see yourself. And if how you see yourself is strictly physical appearance or mostly physical appearance, well, you're never really going to you think you're going to have confidence if you make it to a certain, body comp, goal weight, whatever. But what often happens, because people think genuine confidence. I'm not talking about the fleeting stuff of feeling good when you realize that you lost the weight or you catch a side glance and you feel really positive. I'm glad that you feel that way. You should feel, and when you do feel that way, you should stop for a moment and really take it all in, right? Really appreciate it. But the deep-rooted confidence has nothing to do in your appearance. Has nothing to do with your appearance. Doesn't have to have anything to do with your appearance. Even though people might have been telling you things about the way you look and the way you quote unquote should look for much of your life. Confidence is a choice, and then you reinforce that belief with the actions that you take. Now, a lot of times people will tell you that confidence comes from taking action, and that is your proof. I think you make the decision first, and then you reinforce the belief. because you do that, you don't deal with feeling like you're an imposter. Um, you know, just some stuff to. I mean, it's because all this stuff is interconnected. I mean, it really is. You know, and so much thinking about when a lot of times intuitive eating is still popular. I know probably 7 or 8 years ago, it was seemed to be like the thing everybody was trying and talking about and doing. But you know, intuitive eating based off of how your hunger cues and how you feel, really, and really paying attention and being able to identify and stop in the moment and make choices on that. That is actually a skill that you develop. Now, the tough part is if you've got this mechanism that is helping really silence your cues, um, you still that doesn't mean that you've solved this situation long term. Because long term, you actually have to build this as an entire mental approach to how you eat, exercise, and manage your life. So just because you don't feel it in the moment, because medication is dampening for some or for many people, it dampens their appetite. And that doesn't mean that you're quote unquote fixed. Um, and I'll tell you, we mentioned that you still have to develop the habits. Another huge thing is your environment. How do you set your food environment up? Where are things positioned? What do you have on hand? Have you made things easy enough for you to where you can throw a quick meal together when the day gets away from you? Do you have backup options? Do you have backups to the backups? And I think even more importantly than that, when you have a day that doesn't go according to plan, how good are you at forgiving yourself, learning what you need to learn, if anything, and moving forward? Um, and I think eventually, part of that learning what you need to learn and move forward ties into the fact that you're going to be looking to maintain these results that you have. And emotional eating is going to be a thing. And something I also want to say as a fitness professional, I don't think we should shun all emotions around food. I think we should acknowledge the emotions we feel, things that we would view as good, things that we would view as bad, and everything in between. Sometimes emotionally eating really helps. It helps take the edge off. It's not something you want to do, habitually over and over again, but sometimes it's all you want. And some moments, it's not about, well, this is what I want. And I'm going to be disciplined and not eat it. Sometimes you're just better off eating the ice cream. Which specific times? Depends on the individual. Like I said, there's so much nuance that goes into all of this. And, you know, I I hope that you continue to move forward on your journey as a whole. Try to stay as present as you can with an eye towards the future without worrying too much on the past. Learn the lessons that you need to learn, but try not to be hung up, you know, all that much. Um, and one of the biggest things about fitness and weight loss for me is this is actually what has kept me in the industry for as long as it has. Um, this is one area of your life where you can learn to develop consistency as a skill. You can learn what discipline actually looks like, and that you don't have to just put it in and for you don't have to rely on discipline to do your day-to-day workouts. You can set up your environment, you can set up your structures, you can change your identity and what you choose to see about yourself. These are very powerful things. You can learn to be consistent, and this can be translated into so many different areas in life. It's super important, and don't lose sight of that just because you're losing the weight. The big benefit on all this stuff is really seeing who and what you are as a person. And I'm not saying just during the hard times and when you're challenging yourself and pushing yourself, seeing what you're really made of. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying that when you're connected with yourself and you're working through your weight loss journey and you're really taking your time to unpack it, you start to figure out what your preferences are, where it is that you've gotten to, how you got there. And I hope you appreciate, even if you don't like where you are right now, appreciate the fact that you got yourself to a point where you can eventually change directions and go on a different path. Um, but, look at where you are and have an eye on appreciating the future and trust yourself that you're going to be able to do it. You have every opportunity to do that. So these are just some things that I thought would be good to talk about, because there's a lot of noise in the fitness space about people taking GLP-1s, and I think there's a lot of really loud things that aren't necessarily um, that aren't really, like I think the industry focuses on a lot of the wrong things sometimes. And I think for you, it just needs to be focusing on, I'm using this as a tool. I'm still figuring out how this goes in my life, what adjustments I need to make, and where it is that I want to go long term. Because if you do that, you're going to be exactly where it is that you need to be. So that is what I have for you. So we are now. I'm moving this podcast to come out on Mondays. So same for the videos. So if you like hearing about the life during and after GLP-1s, Monday is your day. So it'll be hitting your podcast feed, the one that you're already listening on or subscribed to. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and do that. If you're watching on YouTube, these videos will be coming out Monday on the Your Level Fitness YouTube channel. I think I'm still going to be doing 6:15 Eastern time. That's the time of day that I release most of the stuff. So with this being a weekly podcast, if you want more of my thoughts and opinions, not only on this, but other things in the health and fitness space, self-confidence space, body image, all that stuff, I would check out the Daryl Perry podcast. That is darylperrypodcast.com. It's linked up in the show notes. If you're brand new to Your Level Fitness, check that link out as well, yourlevelfitness.com. And if you're living that inside out lifestyle and you're wanting to wear and represent YLF, check out yourlevelfitness.shop. Check out the shop. So that is what I have for you. If you're watching on YouTube, YouTube is suggesting that this is a video that you would like to watch. So go ahead and watch that. But this is what I have for you. So thank you as always for watching and listening. And I will talk to you again next week.